Hello, and welcome to Emily's Literacy Corner. Today, we will be talking about phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness is a strong indicator of literacy development. Today's lesson will focus on a skill called phoneme segmentation. Before we begin, we will discuss what a phoneme is. A phoneme is a single sound. Every word is made up of phonemes. A single phoneme can consist of one letter or multiple letters. So, for example, the sound b, b is a single phoneme that is spelled with a single letter b. But the sound is a single phoneme, so one sound, but it's spelled with two letters, sh. And when we say or read words, we are blending phonemes together to create whole words. So if a phoneme is a sound, what is phoneme segmentation? Phoneme segmentation means taking a whole word and breaking it down into its individual sounds. Phoneme segmentation is a great activity to do with younger learners because it's primarily a listening activity. You do not need any written words to be able to segment phonemes. Phoneme segmentation can also be taught using a variety of manipulatives, making this an engaging activity for our learners. So for our English language learners, it's important to keep some specific strategies in mind when you're teaching phoneme segmentation. You need to include vocabulary instruction to ensure that they understand the word that they are segmenting. You will also want to display a picture of the word you are segmenting during the activity. You'll want to give a lot of opportunities to build oral language skills, such as asking them to use the word in a sentence. It's also best to use sounds that already exist in their home language to begin with and get them used to it before moving on to sounds that they might be less familiar with. And we will talk about what to do if you come across a sound that doesn't exist in their home language in a little bit. So the first way that we are going to do phoneme segmentation is using Elkonin boxes. So you can see the three boxes on the screen here. Elkonin boxes are a great way to teach phoneme segmentation. They are visual and tactile, which help keeps the lesson in the learner's memory. So as you can see here, there are no words because we're just focusing on the sounds. I have displayed a picture of a cat at the top, and I'm also going to come out of presenter mode so that you can see me manipulating these chips for this activity. So you can use beads, buttons, anything that you might have that's like tactile and small to place in these boxes for each sound for the words that you're segmenting. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to show you using these digital chips here. And so you're going to start by saying the word that you want to segment. So, and then you'll have your students repeat the word to ensure that they can say it and are understanding what they're saying. So I have here a picture of a cat. So the word that we are going to segment today is cat. Please repeat after me, cat. And then your students will repeat that word. So now we are going to move the chips into the boxes to represent each sound that we hear in the word cat. So the first sound in cat, the next sound, ah, ah. So for each of those three sounds, I have moved one chip to the box. So cat, put together, all says cat. How many sounds did you hear in that word? You can ask your students this. Hopefully they say three. And then you can even take it a step further to build those oral language skills and ask your students to use the word cat in a sentence. All right, we are going to move on to another word that we are going to segment here. And so we have a picture displayed during the whole time. No words are up on the screen. And so the word we are going to segment is apple. Repeat after me, apple. Your students will say apple. So now you will have them move a chip for each sound that they hear in the word apple. Apple, apple. That's says apple when you blend it all together. Now ask them if they can use the word apple in a sentence to build those oral language skills. Another way that you can teach phoneme segmentation is using bead strings. So you just take a string, you string several beads onto them, and instead of moving the chips like you do for the Elkonin boxes, for every sound that the student hears in the word, they will move one bead over to the other side of the string. And so this is really nice if you have a few students and you want to keep their hands going and moving. It can really help get those wiggles out too. All right, so remember to display a picture of the word throughout the activity, and each student will have their string of beads while the picture is displayed. So you'll want to ensure that all of the beads are starting on the same side, on one side of the string, and that they're not starting with their beads kind of half and half like this. All the beads will need to be moved to one side of the string. And then the rest is very similar to what we just did. So the word we are going to segment is bat. Repeat after me, bat, bat. All right, now move one bead to the other side of the string for every sound you hear in bat. B, a, t, bat. How many beads did you move? Hopefully they moved 3 beads. Now, can you use the word bat in a sentence? Right, we are going to do another example with the bead string. So you'll move all the beads back to one side of your string. And now the word we are going to segment is pumpkin. Repeat after me, pumpkin. Now let's move our beads for each sound that you hear. Pumpkin. Uh, mm, eh, mm. That was a long one. So how many beads did you move this time? The answer should be 7. And that's a lot longer than the word we've done previously. So can you use pumpkin in a sentence? And so it's very similar to the Elkonin boxes. You're just using a different form of manipulative here for the bead strings. Okay, so for our last variation on this activity, we will look at doing phoneme segmentation using just your hands. So no other materials are needed except for the ability to display a picture of the word you're segmenting. So for each sound that the students hear in the word, they will tap a different finger. I tend to tap each finger against my thumb, and I usually start with my pointer finger and move toward my pinky, just like this. So here's the picture that I'm displaying. The word we are going to segment is ghost. Repeat after me, ghost. So tap your finger for each sound you hear in the word ghost. O, ghost. Can you use ghost in a sentence? Right. And now I'm going to display a picture of a zombie. So this word has an interesting sound in it, the Z sound. So this sound does not exist in Spanish, for example. So if you have English learners in your class whose home language is Spanish, they may have some trouble with this sound. So you will need to explicitly teach the Z sound. One way to do this is to make a connection with their home language. The Z sound is similar in articulation to the S sound that does exist in Spanish. So you may want to have your students start by making the sound that they're familiar with. You can have them touch their voice boxes to feel that their voices are off when they're making the sound. There's no vibration. when you say s. And if you keep that same mouth movement, but turn your voice on, you should feel a vibration, and that s turns into z, and that helps them to make that z sound that they're potentially not as familiar with. And this can help them as they move forward with this sound. And so once the sound is explicitly taught, you can complete the phoneme segmentation activity. So just you can continue like we have been doing. So the word we are going to segment is zombie. Repeat after me, zombie. The students will repeat. So now tap your fingers for each sound in the word zombie. Z, ah, b, e. And then you can ask them to use zombie in a sentence. So as we wrap up, a few things to keep in mind are that phonemic awareness is strongly related to literacy development. Each of these variations of this phoneme segmentation activity provides a kinesthetic or tactile connection. English learners will benefit from seeing and touching each separate sound, making the sounds more concrete. And if a sound does not exist in a student's first language, you will need to explicitly teach that sound to a student. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps.